Hi there and welcome. You're about to watch a Lakehead International live webinar. It is a great way to explore what Lakehead University is all about. In this session, you'll hear insights and stories from Lakehead professors, staff, and current students. While watching, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. For now, let's dive in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our in-depth NRM session at Lakehead University. My name is Hardika Narayankar, and I am part of the Lakehead International team, where I work as International New and Social Media Officer. And it is very great to see so many of you joining us today for a session that's going to explore more about the natural resource management faculty and all the programs that are included in it. So wherever you're in your decision-making journey right now, this session will give you a deeper understanding of what studying NRM looks like at Lakehead. So with that, let's just begin. Let's just begin to talk more about the agenda. So first, we'll be doing a brief overview of what Lakehead University looks like, and including our campuses and also what makes our university a great place to study. After that, we will be taking a closer look at the Faculty of Natural Resources Management, wherein the entire faculty with certain guests and the Dean of NRM will be talking more in depth about the program offerings, the unique learning opportunities, career opportunities, and also highlight some of our outstanding alumni. So with that, let's just get started with the overview of Lakehead University. I will make it quick, do not worry, and then we'll get right on to our today's session. So we are a public institution located in Ontario, Canada, with 3 unique locations, which is Thunder Bay, Earlier, and a specialized STEM hub in Barrie. But I would like to tell you that Lakehead is more than just geography, it is about community. And what sets us apart is the strong sense of connection that you're going to find it here. Life at Lakehead goes beyond just attending your lectures. It is more about engaging with your professors, collaborating with your classmates, and also becoming a part of a supportive and inclusive environment for both on and off campus. Now, one of our unique features is our commitment to undergraduate research. So unlike many universities where research opportunities are reserved for later years, or even graduate studies for that matter, Lakehead students can get involved as early as their first year. And this hands-on experience is going to give you the real head start that your career deserves. Now, I will just quickly let you know some of the numbers that we have just to highlight our recognition. So we are ranked in the top 3 in Canada for research in our category. Times Higher Education named us the #1 university in North America among schools with fewer than 10,000 students. And we consistently place in the Macklean's top 5 universities in our category across Canada. And while we may be considered a smaller university, our research outcome and student success is anything but small. Another key thing I would like to highlight is that students really appreciate this class sizes. So instead of just being another face in a massive lecture hall, you will benefit from a more personal learning environment. Our student to faculty ratios are 15:1 in Thunder Bay and 13:1 in Aurelia, giving you a greater access to your professors and a chance to build meaningful academic relationships. And finally, when it comes to life after graduation, Lakehead students are very well prepared. In fact, 96.2% of our graduates are employed within 2 years, which is surpassing the Ontario average of 94.1%, which is a strong indication that our students leave confident and capable. Moving on to just taking a moment to talk about the Lakehead community. So both during your time as a student and long after you graduate, out of our over 9,000 students, nearly 2,000 come from outside of Canada. This means that you'll find familiar faces who share your culture, language, or even background, while also gaining valuable insights from your classmates with entirely different perspectives and experiences. And when you graduate, your connection to Lakehead does not end. You will become a part of a global alumni network of over 75,000 graduates in 116 countries. So no matter where life takes you after graduation, your chances are that there is a Lakehead alumni nearby somewhere. Now, let's just talk quickly about something that usually there's a lot of international students' minds, which is the work opportunities and what comes next after graduation. So while you're studying, you can work up to 24 hours a week during the semester, and it's an excellent way to gain, to manage experiences and also gain Canadian work experience and start building your professional network. Now, after graduation, every Lakehead program qualifies you for a post-graduation work permit, which can give you up to 3 years of open work experience in Canada. And long-term, earning a Canadian degree gives you extra points towards permanent residency. So whether you decide to stay in Canada or take your career international, you will be in a stronger position. Now let's just find our segue to discuss academics at Lakehead. So these are the academic faculties at Lakehead University, whether your passion lies in business, science, engineering, education, be say any area of study, Lakehead has a program that's going to match your interest. So today we are going to be discussing and taking a more closer look or an in-depth look at NRM, starting with having a conversation that my lovely colleague Jordan Ball had with the faculty members from NRM. So let's just dive right into that.
And on that note, folks, I want to officially welcome you and introduce Lakehead University to you. We're here to chat a bit more about the Faculty of Natural Resources Management. And on that note, I have the distinct pleasure to welcome and introduce Dr. LeBlanc, the Dean, who will chat a bit more about the faculty, and then we'll introduce our other guests.
Thanks, Jordan. I am the Dean of the Faculty of Natural Resource Management. And basically, like you see in the landscape, it's mainly about forestry and environmental management of faculty. So we'll go more deeply in our program now.
Thank you. So with that, why don't you take an opportunity, Dr. LeBlanc, to introduce yourself as the Dean, a bit about what your career has took you on, and then we'll introduce our other guests as well.
So I am also a professor of remote sensing and now the Dean of the faculty. So my expertise is more of using imagery from UAV to satellite in many applications in forestry, but also in very environmental management type applications. So Nathan?
Great. Thanks, Dean LeBon. Thanks, Jordan. And hello, everyone. My name's Nathan Basilico. I'm a professor of forest soils in the Faculty of Natural Resources Management, and I'm one of the graduate coordinators. So going to give some info in a few minutes on our graduate programs. Thanks again and welcome.
Thanks for joining us. And next we'll introduce Dr. Lee.
Hello, this is Seung-il Lee. I'm an assistant professor and I'm teaching forest entomology here at the Faculty of Natural Resources Management. I'm glad to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Next, I'll introduce one of our current students, Obi.
Thank you so much, Jordan. My name is Obijuru Emilike. You can call me Obi. I'm really excited to be here to let you know about the beautiful opportunities in joining the Natural Resource Management program here at Lakehead University. Currently running my master's in forest management, and it's really exciting. It's been an exciting journey as I started in September last year. And it's been wonderful because I've really been open to major environmental stewardship, patterns, and then a lot of ideas on biodiversity conservation and so many other things. It's been a really exciting journey. Well, welcome on board, and I look forward to seeing you guys.
Well, I'm excited to have you, certainly, and we're going to have an opportunity to dive in a bit more about your experience as a current student in the master's program. But before we do that, I'll also introduce Paige, one of our wildlife technologists.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So my name is Paige Perrins. I'm a wildlife technologist in the department. I do courses in entomology, mycology, and fish and wildlife management and practice. And I'm really excited to get to be here and chat with everyone today.
Awesome. Well, thank you again to our entire panel of guests. It's certainly exciting to have each and every one of you bring a different perspective from the faculty itself and share different experiences that I'm sure our viewers are looking forward to hearing more about. And on that note, I think it's time to chat a bit about undergraduate programs. And so I'll pass over to Dr. LeBlanc.
Thanks, Jordan. So yes, we have first a strong undergraduate program. The first is an honor Bachelor of Science in Forestry with 3 specializations: forest management, forest health and protection, forest product and marketing. And this program is accredited nationally. And after this program, you can become a registered professional forester. And the other is an honors of Bachelor of Science in Environmental Management with 3 specializations: wildlife conservation and management. With this, you can become also a wildlife biologist, conservation planning and management, and the third one, sustainable land use. So here I have example of your first year as undergraduate. So we have a series of NRM course, the Canadian Forest Plant Species, Natural Resource Inventory, Biometrics, and Field School. And then also a few biology courses and chemistry courses and even geography and geology. And our program has a co-op option. And so you can you can also, in the same time as you study, you can also have a working experience in with many partner.
I'll note here with the co-op experience, some students don't realize that this is actually time away from your studies to an extent. You will still be a registered student, but you actually get paid for this experience. This is a great opportunity for students to apply the foundational knowledge they've gained within their program and actually be working directly within the industry that they hope to join one day. The list here of current employers, or some of the employers, is not vast whatsoever. These are just some of the bigger names that we work with here locally. Of course, though, we work with small companies, large companies, national, local, international, all that sort of stuff. So we're excited to have students be exploring this option. And of course, we have strong employment rates within the Faculty of Natural Resources Management. And so we're excited to see our grads continue to move into their field after their education. Next, we'll introduce and pass over to Dr. Basilico to share more about our graduate programs here at Lakehead University.
Great, thanks again, Jordan. So we have 2 master's programs. The first is the Masters of Forest Management. This is a course-based program, so it doesn't require a thesis supervisor or writing an intensive research-based thesis. The second is the Master of Science in Forestry, and that's more aligned with a typical research-focused master's degree where you're working closely with a research supervisor and a research group and taking fewer courses. And then we have a PhD in forest sciences, which is quite a broad program that goes beyond our own faculty and also brings in expertise from sort of the applied social sciences and even some humanities scholars. So I'll go through and describe these each one by one. So the Masters of Forest Management, this is a course-based program. Students can begin either in the fall term, so in our fall anyway, in September, or in January. The course content, there's 8 semester-long courses that are required that are listed on the left here, including Principles of Research Methods that Dr. Lee teaches. You take Geomatics, Foundations of Operations Research, which is a forestry management focused course, Biodiversity Conservation, kind of a broad course in Natural Resources Economics, and Indigenous Peoples and Natural Resources Management, a policy course on resource management, and a course on professional communications. And that helps gear students up for what they take in the summer. So there's one summer term. It's a 16-month program, which means you're here for 3 of the typical fall and winter semesters, and then a summer term. And in the summer term, you take a course called NRMT 5100, which is the internship course. And Dean LeBlanc leads the internship course planning. Students are with the dean's guidance, they find an internship supervisor or employer. Occasionally that's a faculty member, but often it's a private sector partner or a government research partner or an environmental or natural resources focused not-for-profit. And they work for 300 hours through the summer. So the professional communications course is really nicely geared to get students engaged in preparing their CVs and focused on these communication skills that are going to help you get that internship. And oftentimes those internships can turn into longer term employment for students that are either from Canada or students who choose to stay in Canada after their degree. There's also some flexibility in the courses. So Dean LeBlanc and Jordan have put some of the commonly taken elective courses, so as well as the 8 kind of required term length courses, you also take typically 4 additional electives. And these can tie into your own interests and where you want to end up in terms of your future career. And there's a lot of leeway. So as well as our own natural resources courses, you'll see there's also environmental studies and biology courses that students typically take. Some also take, for example, geography type courses. So if you want to jump ahead, Jordan?
I was just going to mention here the sample elective courses. The thing that I love most about Lakehead and our degree structure is that being able to pick your elective courses is critical to your own success, in my opinion. And then we've seen this also where students get to choose courses based on their own passions. And when they're passionate about the course, they're going to be the most successful in that course. So whether that's because it's the topic that is at hand, so if you're really excited about urban forestry, although I'm a business major and I don't quite know what that means, I'm sure that you would be successful in that course. With that being said, you also may join us here at Lakehead, start in your program and really start to grow an affinity towards select faculty members and know that you love their style of instruction or know that their courses are really fruitful in terms of the knowledge that you gain. And so you may start to then handcraft your own Lakehead degree when you actually join us, based on who's offering and who's teaching that course. So I think that's another exciting aspect of the course-based approach. Dr. Basilico, do you have anything to add to that, or did we want to transition to the?
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. And the 8 required in-classroom courses are meant to be a kind of a broad, think of it as like a horizontal approach to the fields of natural resources management. In these 4 elective courses, for students who really do want to specialize, for example, if you were going to focus on more geomatics focused courses, you could take courses in our unit as well as in geography, for example, and have that chance to take at least 4 additional courses in a concentrated area, which is going to give you a very specific kind of skill set that might be marketable towards what you want to do after you leave. So thanks again, Jordan.
Yep, of course. And then for those students that are already thinking that they want to continue the degree to perhaps continue within the research side of things, we have a thesis-based approach, which Nate will talk a bit more about now.
Yeah, so this the research-focused program, you typically have to have established connections and some sort of preliminary relationship with a single faculty member who's willing to serve as your supervisor and willing to support your research, both in terms of their own expertise, but also the financial and research infrastructure needs of the project. So these are much more tailored towards someone who has a very specific interest that align. For example, if you're looking at boreal forest entomology, you might reach out to Dr. Lee and say, hey, this is where I'm coming from and what I'd like to do. Do you have any potential to take on research students, or could we communicate more? And as that relationship maybe builds, then the supervisor, the faculty supervisor has to sort of provide support for you in principle when you're applying. And so students without that instructor or supervisory support typically aren't accepted. So kind of have to approach it a little bit differently than you would the course-based master's program. And then when you're here, there's 1 mandatory course. So you take a kind of a comprehensive overview research methods course, and then 2 semester-long or term-long elective courses. And most of your time is spent focused on conducting independent research with your supervisor in your topic area. And oftentimes the research method course and those elective courses tie into some of what you're doing in your thesis too. So it's a much more sort of intensified, focused graduate program that involves you designing your own research experiments with your supervisor and your supervisory team, doing potentially field and lab work, analyzing data, and then writing up a thesis, often which is published as a technical journal article in a peer reviewed journal.
Great. And then, of course, for those students that are ready for the next level of education, we also offer a Doctor of Philosophy in Forest Sciences, which Nate will also chat a bit more about.
Yep, great. And we've got a very strong PhD program in the forest sciences, and that's forest sciences very, very broadly. So you could be, for example, working with sort of ecosystem scientists like Dr. LeBlanc or Dr. Lee or myself, but also this expands into the realms of forest operations, forest economics, human dimensions of natural resources management. And it's a really neat program because although it's centered in natural resources management, we have core faculty that exist across a number of different units at Lakehead, and that makes it a very a very diverse and integrative type program. So students who are interested in this, you need to come in with a master's degree in hand. There are some cases where students start in the master's program, the thesis-based master's program, and fast track to the PhD, but oftentimes students are coming in with a master's in hand. Similar to the Master of Science in Forestry, students need to have that established connection with their intended supervisor. So the first step is to actually reach out to faculty, potential faculty supervisors, and begin communications with them and get their support and your sort of mutual desire to focus on a PhD together, and then you go through the application process. So this is again fairly different in terms of that scope relative to the undergrad programs and to the course-based masters, which anyone can apply to. And if you meet the criteria coming from a strong strong program and strong marks and in the right field, you're generally accepted. Versus these, you have to have that support of a single supervisor because they do provide a lot of time and often a lot of financial resources behind it to support you through your studies. These typically take about 4 years, maybe a little bit longer on average for the PhD. The thesis-based master's, I should have said this before too, is typically a 2-year program. So it can range from 1 to 2, but typically students would finish in 2 years. And ideally students would aim to finish their PhD in 4 years. Some go a little bit longer. But I think that's it. Can you think of anything I missed, Jordan or Dr. Lee or Dr. LeBlanc?
I think you did a great job covering those 3 different degree options offered solely at Lakehead. But while we're on the topic of graduate studies within natural resources management, I have the pleasure to welcome back Dr. LeBlanc to share more about the Transfer M program.
Yes, so this is a new thing in Lakehead and it's quite unique. So with the Master of Forest Management, the course base, you can spend 1 year in Lakehead and the second year in one of the 5 European institutions, and you will get at the end 2 degrees, one from Lakehead and one from Europe. The destination in Europe is Bangor in Wales, University of Eastern Finland in Finland, Boku in Vienna in Austria, Università degli Studi di Padova in Italy, and SLU in Sweden. So coming with us, you will be able to get eventually also another master degree from a European university at the same time. So this could be a good advantage. And this is called Transfer M, the Transatlantic Forestry Master Program.
And Dr. LeBlanc, correct me if I'm wrong, but students from these partner institutions also have the opportunity to come to us here at Lakehead. So they'll complete the year in Europe and then come study with us. So I think that's something exciting to look forward to for our students, where they'll maybe potentially have an opportunity to interact with students from one of our 5 partner European institutions when they're here studying in Thunder Bay. So that they're going to bring a really rich aspect to how they conduct studies. And that might spark your interest in actually applying for the program yourself. As we sort of wrap up our discussion around looking at what degrees we offer here at Lakehead, you may be wondering already, where can I take my Lakehead degree? I should note this is by no means an exhaustive list of where our grads have gone, but rather just a sampling of the wide range of programs. But Dr. LeBlanc will share more about career opportunities.
So yes, career opportunities. So geomatics, obviously, with all the course in geomatics, urban forester, wildlife ecologist, fish and wildlife officer, so GS forester, invasive species specialist, community economic development officer, international conservation specialist, renewable energy consultant, climate change analyst, planning forester, and working in forestry consultant world. So there's quite a broad of career opportunities with our program.
For sure. So some of the unique learning opportunities within natural resources management does include our field school. So I have never had the opportunity to take it, but I've heard great things about it, but I know that our faculty can share more. So once again, Dr. LeBlanc will chat a bit about what this opportunity offers.
Yes, thanks. So in addition to our domestic field school, and this is an example here in some part of Ontario, we have also an international field school possibility with maybe the next slide, please. This was in Mexico. So yes, so the very hands-on type program with a lot of experience across even with an international experience.
And correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm not mistaken, the International Field School changes each year. So we look to partner institutions not just in South America, but we also look in Africa and beyond that to bring our students a wide range of opportunities.
Yes, for example, this year the International Field School will happen in Sweden.
It's very exciting. I'm envious of those students that get to go and have directed studies in a foreign country. And again, and having that international experience, I think will help stand out on your resume in terms of being able to not just speak to the natural resources management ecosystems within Northwestern Ontario and in Canada, but of course, then you have that international realm or lens on your degree as well. Mm-hmm. Chatting a bit about international studies and research, I have the distinct pleasure in welcoming Dr. Lee to share more about his research that he's conducting and also how students are able to participate if they're in that field of study, of course.
Okay, my name is Seung-il Lee. I'm an assistant professor teaching forest entomology, population ecology for undergraduate students, and experimental design and statistics for graduate students. I am originally come from South Korea 16 years ago, and it's been wonderful living in Canada, exploring wild nature as well as experiencing unique Canadian culture. So my current research has been largely focused on various aspects of overall biodiversity responses to forest harvest, trying to understand how forest organisms respond to human-induced disturbance as well as natural disturbance, such as fire and insect outbreak, and how they recover and how long it will take for forest biodiversity to recover after disturbances. So more specifically, I'm studying forest arthropods, such as ground-dwelling insects and flying saproxylic insects, and their responses to commercial thinning, biomass harvest, and variable retention harvest. I'm also interested in studying pollinator diversity, such as bumblebees, honeybees, flower flies, and many others. Since there has been a steep decline in pollinator richness and abundance, it is important to study their diversity and distribution. And because arthropod diversity has been poorly studied in Northwestern Ontario, I think there are a lot of opportunities to tackle these huge research gaps in this area. So my research requires quite a bit of field work to sample insects and other arthropods using various trapping techniques. For example, we use people traps to collect ground-dwelling beetles and spiders, and also window traps and malaise traps to collect flying insect species. So undergraduate and graduate students are key to conduct these exciting field studies, traveling different areas of boreal forest in Ontario, and perhaps other provinces depending on their research projects. Students in my lab will have a great chances to learn how to sample a diverse group of insects, as well as learn how to identify insect species sampled. Students will also have a chance to learn biostatistics to properly organize their species data and to make a professional graphs using our statistical software. For international network, I have a great connection to South Korean entomologists and ecologists in different universities and organizations. So students may be expected to have interesting research collaborations with Korean entomologists as they often visit my lab and work together. So that's it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for sharing more. That definitely sounds interesting and always great to hear about how students can get involved in participating and helping facilitate some of the critical research our faculty members are conducting here at Lakehead. Speaking of our students, I think it's time to welcome back Obi, one of our students in Masters of Forest Management, to share more about his Lakehead experience. This next portion is sort of a Q&A between him and myself, a conversation, if you will, but I'll welcome our guests and our panelists. Of course, if you have questions for Obi, please don't hesitate to unmute yourself and ask him. Obi, I would like to hear from you first. So tell us a bit about yourself, remind the audience who you are, where you're from, and perhaps why you chose forestry. What degree before Lakehead did you pursue?
Thank you so much, Jordan. My name is Obijiro Emelike. I'm from Nigeria, currently taking my master's degree in forest management here at Lakehead University. For my bachelor's, I did agricultural extension and rural development in the Faculty of Agriculture and Forestry at the University of Ibadan, Nigeria. With my experience in agriculture, I decided to go in for a master's degree in forest management because I wanted more like a holistic approach to actually understanding agriculture and forestry. And with the rich forestry studies here, especially in Canada, Thunder Bay here in Ontario, Canada, I thought this would be the best fit for me to actually learn as much as I can in respect to that field. And so far, my experience has been great, has been really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, I would love to hear more about what is the most exciting aspect of the program thus far. I know you've been with us for around 8 months now, so you've had plenty of time to get your hands wet or your feet wet in the program itself. What do you love most about it so far?
Well, what I love most has been like the hands-on experience, especially with respect to applied geomatics, GIS. Has been wonderful. Also, the professors have been really excellent. I have one of my professors here, Professor Lee. He really opened my eyes and then my knowledge to biodiversity conservation, the importance of species richness with respect to biodiversity conservation and natural resource conservation at large. It's been a really awesome experience so far for the past 8 months, and I'm looking forward to more exciting opportunities and experiences here at the department. Yeah.
So we often hear from students about their experience at Lakehead ties into the classroom environment, and perhaps it's the small classroom environment, perhaps it's the extended opportunities and the hands-on learning. You've already touched on this a bit more, but can you dive a bit deeper into what you love most about the classes here?
To a large extent, the classes are very conducive for learning, and it's whether it's a small classroom or the larger ones, there's actually a perfect classroom size for whatever lectures or studies you're having, and then the facilities are top notch and perfect, especially with respect to the labs. Like when we took our courses in applied geomatics, it was seamless. At the time, I even the laptop I brought from my home country could not actually accommodate the software we used, but I figured the school had already subscribed to the software, that's the ArcGIS Pro, and I could easily access that in the labs without any hassle, which was a very wonderful experience for me. That really helped to enhance my learning, especially with respect to applied geomatics. So it's been great. Thank you.
I'm glad to hear that. I mean, is there anything in reflecting on your experience from a Nigerian university to a Canadian institution or the North American curriculum, what's been the most or the largest or biggest surprise in that transition? Is there anything that's shocked you or really impressed you so far?
Well, what has impressed me so far would be the relationship between the professors and the students. You know, coming from my home country, Nigeria, they were not really as accessible as what we have here in Lakehead University. You know, you maybe had to book an appointment or you had to like, wait for a long time before you reached out to your professors, and all that. But here at Lakehead University, it was here I got to see that professors would actually sit beside students to teach them, with respect to how do I put it? Like, for example, the applied geomatics. I remember Professor Sapik, times where we had issues with our labs, he would sit down just right beside you and show you exactly what to do with respect to the GIS Pro app, which was a really wonderful experience. We really didn't get much of that. We were really back in Nigeria, we're literally left to, okay, sort it out yourself. But here, like, everybody's been supportive and it's, they've all been really awesome at every step of the way. That was the life-changing experience, more like different culture for me here. Thank you.
That's great to hear. But I think the final question I have for you, to our audience also, do you have any advice for future Thunderwolves as they are looking forward to perhaps joining us here in Thunder Bay or even in Aurelia in the coming months? What would you say to them to make sure that their transition is smooth and that they are able to set up a strong foundation in their new hometown?
Great, thank you. So what I would like to say is, as a student, when you come in here, I know it will be especially the international students, it will be a totally different ball game here, but just try to be as adaptive as possible and don't hesitate to ask questions, from your professors, from your fellow students, because whoever asks questions never really gets lost, Just keep asking questions as everybody is always ready to support and guide you. And trust me, it's going to be a wonderful experience as I am currently having right now. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that you say ask questions because I am always shocked and in awe when I meet students for the first time at orientation, for example. They'll ask me a question and they look at me with a look of concern. They go, "Can I ask you another question?" And I'm saying, "Yes, of course. Ask me as many questions as you'd like. That's what I'm here for." And I think we all have that same attitude as we want to make sure you're successful in your studies and you're off to a good head start in terms of getting started here at Lakehead. So please feel free to ask us questions. Thank you, Obi, for joining
thank
us.
you so much, Jordan. Yeah.
Now I'll have the pleasure to introduce Paige, who's going to share a bit more about Thunder Bay and perhaps why you are going to be excited to call it your new hometown if you join us for natural resources management.
So much, Jordan. Yeah, so I was really excited to get to do this part of the presentation. I was born and raised in Thunder Bay, so I am very active. I'm an outdoors person. If you're coming into a program, something like natural resource management, a lot of times we find students are interested in being outdoors, in experiencing like nature and wildlife that we have in Canada. And our Thunder Bay campus, especially where we do NRM, is the perfect place to do that. So we have it's a decently sized population, so you get some of the stuff that you might want in a city. We have 123,000 people. We have a symphony orchestra, something like 4 or 5 art galleries. We have a lot of great restaurants downtown, and it's becoming more and more of a multicultural community every year. So we have a lot of like authentic, like Indian cuisine, Thai, Vietnamese. So if you are a person who likes to try different foods, and then along with, like classic poutine places, I like to eat. So that's like a big thing for me. It says 305 days of sunshine. Some of those days are a little chilly, but it's a great opportunity to try winter sports. So a lot of our students come here. Some of them have never seen snow or they're not from really snowy areas. Thunder Bay has 2 downhill ski hills. So you could do downhill skiing or snowboarding. You can do cross-country cross-country skiing. I do snowshoeing. So I did that a few weeks ago. We had like a surprise last minute dump of snow. So I did a big snowshoeing hike. And some of these things are super accessible. It costs, I think, $8 to get a cheap sled. And then so you and all your friends can get some together. and there's hills everywhere. You can go down and do tobogganing in your time off and sledding. We are also really big. We have a lot of multicultural festivals. So we have, it says 20 plus annual city festivals. We have Festival of Colors, Festival of Lights. We have the Folklore Festival, which is coming up in May. And then that's all of the different cultural groups in Thunder Bay, wherever you're from. They make food and they do like traditional dances and presentations. And then also just like selling different wares from there. So that's always a really cool one. We also have an airport, so you can travel in and out. And a really big thing for me, so I've done this hike from this picture. This is the top of the Giant. So this is a nice long hike, but it's a beautiful view. And then to get here, it's just a short drive out from Thunder Bay. So depending on your skill level, the same hike, there's another one called the Sea Lion. You can be not super physically fit and still have a beautiful view and a beautiful picnic and enjoy like the scenery. Or if you want to challenge yourself, something like this, we have lots of opportunities. We have 2 provincial parks really close by, and I do canoeing, and you could do canoeing, camping, kayaking, paddleboarding, sailing lessons, all right in Thunder Bay. So it's a really great place to be. And I think that NRM and Lakehead also do a really good job of, you meet people and you kind of gel together pretty quickly. So you always have someone to do that with. So we have a Lakehead Student Society, so LUSU. They did a Take Back the Hills night where they did cheap skiing for all the students to try it out. And then in NRM, we also have things like we had a plaid party. We had, so everyone just wears plaid to look like lumberjacks. And then we went to one of the bars downtown. And then we also have things like euchre tournaments or timber sports, so practicing timber sports. So there's lots of ways for you to get involved and try new things and experience, Canadian culture, Thunder Bay culture, and maybe even some other cultures that you're not familiar with, but still like it's a very, it's a place to get a lot of that different experiences. So a lot of cool things for you.
Thank you for sharing so much. And I know that almost to the viewers, it may sound like an overwhelming number of activities and opportunities that we have, which I think makes us an exceptional location to study, because another great thing is that we don't just assume students are going to necessarily do this all on their own, or they're going to facilitate it all on their own. There will be tons of opportunities for you to do this through our International Student Center, which is my colleagues that are at the basement of the library here on the Thunder Bay campus. They'll actually host several of these events that Paige mentioned, whether it's going to hike the top of the Giant or maybe doing a bit of a more easy hike at the Sea Lion. Or of course, if you wanted to try some of our winter activities, also they'll arrange those. Something I did want to mention, Paige, and you touched on it briefly, was the cultural events. Of course, students come here and they're worried that they're not necessarily going to see people that look like them, talk like them, sound like them, whatever that might be like. But I think that time and time again, we hear from our current students is that they usually do find a group that they can sort of build a family like here in Thunder Bay. And then when reflecting on that, they say building a community in Thunder Bay has been so easy because we're a smaller town. Being able to make friends and lifelong friends at that just seems a little more natural and easy than if it was in a big city where it's hard to facilitate those connections and relationships. So thank you for mentioning that. I always like to have an opportunity to share more. On that note, I think I'll wrap things up here today with one final mention of an outstanding aspect of our program, and that is our alumni. Of course, we would be nothing without the people that take our degrees and go beyond that and do exciting and incredible things. Which one of those alumni is Sharon. She is actually a double alumni, essentially. She did our undergraduate degree in environmental management within the natural resources management faculty. She loved it so much, and she loved her faculty members, that she stuck with us and continue on into the Masters of Forestry, Masters of Science in Forestry. And now she is a Forest Science Program Coordinator intern with the Canadian Institute of Forestry. When we had an opportunity to sit down with Sharon and chat a bit about what her Lakehead experience meant to her and what she enjoyed most about it, she reflected on the small classroom sizes, offering her a lot of opportunity to participate and get out of her comfort zone or get out of her shell, make great friends. I know that she actually made one of her best friends here at Lakehead and they're still in touch today, although both of their careers have taken them to different locations across Canada. They're the greatest of friends as far as I know. And then she also reflected on field school. She got to do and experiment here in Thunder Bay, but then she also took her studies elsewhere in Canada. She went to the East Coast, and then she even went around the world. If I'm not mistaken, she went to Europe with her field school, and she got to collect data, obviously instructed by the professors that guide those experiences. And then she took that data and actually used it later on in her courses. So lots to reflect on in terms of her Lakehead experience. So this is just a small portion of her actual testimonial, as we call them. If you would like to learn more about Sharon's experience and several other grads from this program, you can head over to lakeheadu.ca/international and hear their student voices. With that being said, folks, it is time to wrap things up with our formal presentation on natural resources management. Next, I'll meet you over in the live question and answer period.
All right, so that was a lovely conversation with all the guest members from the faculty of NRM. And before we get to our question and answers round, I would like to just give you some information about our graduate application fee waiver, which is we are waiving the application fees for the international graduate applications for the fall 2026 entry. So if you apply before April 30th, 2026, you do not have to pay the $125 grad application fee. You can use this code during your application process. So I would just suggest you to take either a screenshot of this page or just write the code somewhere. In case you are not able to get the code from somewhere, I'll just put our email address so you can email us with any kind of questions or issues you may have. I'll just put it in our chat. 1 second. Okay, perfect. So I hope you can, if you have any questions, you can just email us and our team will be able to answer that for you. All right. So with that, now I would just like to open the floor for any question and answers that you may have. I would like to just give a shout out to Paula for answering some of your questions behind the scenes. So thank you for that, Paula. And with that, I'll just wait for some of your questions if there are any, and then we'll wrap up our session for today. So I can see a question while Paula is typing an answer. I'll still give the answer live. So the question is, what is the main difference between a course-based program like Masters in Natural Resource Management and a co-op? So just to give you the answer simply, a course-based program is a career-focused and skills-based, while a thesis-based program is a research-focused, and it's going to be better suited for students who are planning to continue into a PhD. There's another question regarding in the same theme, which is, do students in the thesis-based program also have the same course offer as the course-based program? So just to give the answer very simply, thesis-based students do take some courses, but fewer than the course-based students, because much of their time will be dedicated to research rather than just coursework. So there will be some differences, but yeah, it will be thesis-based students will take some time to dedicate it to their research. So since there are no more questions, I'll just try to wrap up our session today. And if you do have questions, even beyond today's session, you can email us at welcome@lakeheadu.ca and our team will be able to help you. All right, so I would just urge you, in case you want to stay connected with us after today, you can follow us on social media. We are there on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube under Lakehead International, and we do share a lot of good creative content, mainly talking about our on-campus, off-campus life, as well as our hometowns and our opportunities. So if you're curious about student life, those are a great platform to stay in the loop. We really hope to see you at one of our next live webinars, and even more, we'll love to welcome you on campus as a Lakehead student someday. So thank you so much again for joining, and with that, I bid you a farewell.
Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. You can connect with us on social media. You can find us at Lakehead International on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We hope to see you in our next live webinar. Bye for now.